You are listening to the Conquering Everest podcast. This is episode 12. That's right. You are tuned in to the Conquering Everest podcast. My name is Brian Talor, and I just want to say thank you. Thank you for spending a little bit of your day here with me. Now, I'm going to be honest. I wasn't even going to record an episode today. It's not my content creation day. As I look up at my makeshift whiteboard calendar, today is not a content creation day, but today was a day that I woke up feeling rather lethargic, feeling a bit depressed. No rhyme or reason. It's just, there's just some days you wake up and you don't have your A game. And I did not have my A game today. Matter of fact, I was talking with a coworker and we hopped on a meeting together and I'm like, hey, how's it going? And she said, okay. And I'm like, yep, it's an okay kind of day. And that was it. I had a hard time getting myself motivated to do much. I felt like I was yawning most of the day, and I slept. It's not like I didn't sleep. But I also realized in my mindset, I could feel it shifting. I could hear the inside voices. Now, no, I'm not crazy. At least I don't think so. But, we all have that inner voice that is either going to hit you with a bunch of positivity and motivation, or it's going to hit you with the doubt. It's going to hit you with the fear. And today was, that negative voice was speaking to me. It's like, hey, what's the point? You're up, you're going to go hit the grind, the 9 to 5, right? And then what? Maybe you're going to come up with a little content. Maybe you're going to post to social media. And you're going to go to bed. What's the point? What's the point? Why are you doing this? You're not going to blow up. This podcast is never going to have more than a handful of listeners. And the only time you're going to get any listeners is if you have like a rock star guest on that happens to have a lot of friends. So why don't you just quit? You could just stop what you're doing. And, work your 9 to 5, and then you could sit down and play some Xbox, right? Hey, there you go. You could just spend your days playing Xbox. That was my mind today. That's my mind talking to me. And I really had to push through that barrier. And I had to be like, no, you know what? Today, I may not have my A game today, right? I may not be the Michael Jordan on my basketball court today. But you know what? That's okay, because we're all allowed to have an off day. But what we don't want to happen is we don't want those negative thoughts, those lies that we tell ourselves, those, you're not good enough. You're not worthy enough. It's never going to happen for you. And so I had to really kick myself in the butt today and say, no, this is not going to be your mindset. Now, I still struggled to get through the day, but I did it. I forced myself to be positive. How do I want to word this? Positively productive. I made sure that everything I did today, even though I felt like crap, I made sure everything I did today I knew why I was doing it. I saw the positive aspect of it. So, I cleaned off the whiteboards. I rewrote my intentions and goals for 2021. I created my calendar, right? So with this podcast, I want to make sure that I'm, following the instructions of those that have been here before me, right? There's a lot of successful podcasters out there, and what's nice is they share all their knowledge, so you can, go onto YouTube or Instagram or Facebook, and you can find, if you're ever thinking about starting a podcast, just start it. The playbook has already been written. But, I was out there saying, okay, what can I do? What can I do for this podcast? And now here I am. Yeah, it's 10:30 at night, but I'm going to record this content. And I wasn't even supposed to record it. So here it was today, a bad day. A day I felt like crap. I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to talk to nobody. I wanted to sleep. I wanted to, just curl up and crawl under my desk and act like I didn't have to face the day. But no, I wasn't about that. I pulled myself up. I shook myself, around and said, hey, we ain't doing this. We ain't doing this. We're keeping a positive mindset. You may feel like crap, but that is not an excuse to let your mind go in the wrong direction. So if you can't tell by now, today's episode's all about mindset, right? It's just one of those things that, and I battle from depression. I believe I've shared that in other episodes, but depression is really real to me, and I had a hell of a battle with it in 2020, even going back as far as 2019 and 2020. So I had 2 years of serious. I was in a fight. I was David, and depression was Goliath, right? But the thing is, I didn't have a slingshot, and I didn't have no rocks. So how was I going to kill this giant? And it took a while. 2 years of my life, I was pretty unproductive. And there was a reason for it, because depression is real. When the chemicals get out of balance, it's hard to wake up and have a positive mentality. It's hard to wake up and feel like you're going to accomplish anything. So it was a real battle. And I had to, I went through the process, right? I went through the process. I had conversations with my doctors. I spoke to coaches and counselors and mentors. I tried to surround myself with people that cared and wanted to see me beat this. And so I did everything I could do, and it took some time, but I eventually, now here I'm in 2021, and I feel great. You can actually go back and listen. If you listen to the first few episodes of this podcast, that I was going through my depression. I mean, hardcore. But I was still finding a way to record because I knew I had to do something, and I had to do something for someone else so that I could then, I guess, reap the rewards. And I don't mean financially. I mean, from a mindset standpoint, when you go out and you help somebody and you can see their gratitude and they're thanking you for what you said or did, I mean, that will motivate you. That will shake up the depression a little bit. The depression will be like, hey, what is going on? Like, what is this? What I did, in 2019, in 2020, I had a lot of time off of work because of the depression. Like I said, it was pretty serious, and it was a battle. It was a knockout, drag down type of fight. But I knew I had to do something. I knew I had to get out of the house. I knew I couldn't just lay in bed every day, even though that's what I wanted to do. And eventually I found the strength to get up, and I actually went and volunteered some time at a soup kitchen. And I showed up at lunchtime, and I helped prepare food that was going to be given out to those that were homeless or otherwise living in severe poverty. They would come to, it was actually at a church that caters, that I guess caters the right word. It's a church for those in great need. Now, everybody's welcome, of course, but a lot of what they do is to find shelter for the homeless and to feed them or just offer them a warm cup of coffee if need be. And I spent, a good couple months helping out there. And man, I tell you what, nothing. I know I was in the thick of my depression, but just the mere fact that I was going out there and I was doing something for someone else, I was completely being selfless. It didn't benefit me, or it didn't, the intention wasn't to benefit me to go out there and feed the homeless or help the needy, or help them find clothes that will fit in the clothes room, where they could go and get clothes and toiletries and other stuff. I didn't do that for me because, believe me, in those days that I went there, I felt like laying in bed. I felt like, woe is me. I'm depressed. I'm never going to get better. But I got out. I got out there because that's what they tell you. If you're depressed and you feel like getting in bed, get out of bed. Get out of bed, go for a walk, try to exercise. Are these cures? No, but I could tell you what, you're going to feel a little bit better. There's nothing that, laying in bed might feel good at the moment, but believe me, when you get up and you get moving, something, at least for a temporary period of time, your mind goes somewhere else. And that's what happened is when I went to the soup kitchen and helped out. And just seeing these people, and first of all, seeing them in their struggles. But you know what? Here's the funny thing is, out of all the people that came through that soup kitchen or church, whatever you want to call it, I don't know the shelter. They came through. I gave them lunch, have a little conversation with them, and there was a lot of people that had, their attitudes were fantastic. They're homeless. They're living in a car, right? They're sleeping in alleys. They're getting 3 meals a day only because there's organizations around town that hand out free food. And yet they're laughing and joking, and they're in a bad situation, but they're not letting their mind go there. Now, there was some people that just came and got their food and they grumbled and walked away, and they didn't want nothing to do with nobody, and they just wanted to go and be miserable. And, hey, I can't say that I blame them, but the others that came through and they were like, oh yeah, hey, and I don't know, they tell you stories or tell you a joke or laugh about something that happened to them, and it was just an amazing feeling. And I got to thinking tonight a little bit more about that and the way I was feeling and where my mind was trying to go. And I thought of, this is something this is an original to me. I didn't come up with this. I don't know where I heard it or saw it though, but one of the things that I have going for me is every time I start to kind of feel my mindset drift in the wrong direction, the image of a graveyard pops into my head. And I know that sounds morbid, graveyard, what the heck? But I think about the graveyard and how many people are buried in that graveyard that did not realize their dreams. That they were full of fear, they were full of doubt, they were full of insecurities, and they just went through life, following, just going through life, following a normal daily routine to where they're making other people's lives better, because let's face it, if you're an employee, you have a job, you're going to that job, you're giving up your time for money, and sometimes it may not be a lot of money, so that company is benefiting from your sacrifice. And yeah, you get enough to pay your bills and whatnot, but are you really chasing your dreams? Are you out there going for it? And so I posted today on Facebook. So if you go out to facebook.com/Conquering Everest, you'll see I created a image, and maybe this was on Instagram. I don't know. It's on one of the two, right? It's either, I've got cool stuff on Facebook, I got cool stuff on Instagram, so make sure you check it out. Check it all out. Follow me, like, subscribe, whatever. And I'm on Twitter too, but you're going to look up Brian Talor on Twitter. But, the graveyard, and I think how many people died without realizing their dream? How many people... and I'm not saying they died, maybe they had a nice long life, and maybe it wasn't a nice long life. Maybe they were alive, they died at 100. What could you imagine? You have these dreams, you have these ambitions, you have these things that you want to accomplish, but you're so full of fear, you're so full of insecurities, you're so full of doubt, your mindset is negative, and so, you develop these dreams in your 20s and you die when you're like 90. So 70 years of your life, you've had these dreams, these ambitions, these goals, and you never went for it. You never just, balls to the wall going after it. And, how many people are buried? How many people have died and been buried miserable? Or, they've given up their life for others. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It depends in the context in which you're using it. If you're sacrificing your life, you're like Mother Teresa, right? And you're all about spreading love and positivity, and that's your purpose in life, then you've lived a great life because you're living your purpose. But how many people want to be like Mother Teresa, but they won't, because they think, well, I'm no Mother Teresa, right? Look at all the things I did wrong in my life. I got in trouble with the law. I did this, I did that. I can't be. Yes, you can. There's only one person in this world that can prevent you from doing anything you want to do. And that's you. You yourself. That is it. That is the only person that can put a stop to your dreams. The only person that can put a stop to your ambitions. The only person that can stop you dead in your tracks. It's you. So I came up with this content I posted either on Instagram or Facebook, and it says, if you're not the king of your jungle, who is? Who is the king of your jungle? Because if you're not it, somebody's it. And so if you're not living your life, then you're living your life for somebody else's life. Think about that. Do you get up every day and you just go through the motions because you want to pay your bills? That's all you want to do? You just want to pay your bills? And then all that reminded me of a video I watched of Gary Vaynerchuk. I don't know if you know who Gary V is, but he's a social media guru. I'll go ahead and call him a guru. He knows social media. He knows business. Smart guy. Has a wealth of knowledge. You can learn a lot from him. He was approached. He was being driven somewhere. He lives in New York, and somebody recognized him and ran up to the window. And of course, he's all about people, right? He gives of himself to the people because that's what his purpose in life is to serve others, which is a great purpose to have, as long as it's your choice, as long as you're choosing to serve others, not that you need to do it because you think you can't do what you want to do. But anyways, Gary V is approached by this woman, and she goes, Gary, I'm feeling down today. Give me 3 words of inspiration. And he thought for just a moment, and then he said, you're gonna die. And she was like, what? Like, she was shocked that he said, but yeah, he's like, if that ain't inspiration, I don't know what is. You are gonna die. There is going to come a time, and that time could be, I don't mean to freak anybody out, but that could be tomorrow. It could be the next day. You've really got to live like your life could end at any time. And it can, because we can't control the world around us, but we can control ourselves. So listen, today's episode, I hope this just hasn't been a rant. Like I said, I wasn't even planning on recording this episode, but where I was in my mind this morning to where I am now at 10:45 at night, and I'm amped up, ready to go, and I don't even know if I'm going to get any sleep tonight because I feel like I could do, I'm ready to go run a marathon. I just have all this energy and this it's like my mind switched and said, you know what? I won this battle. Like, I won today's round with depression. I won today's round with fear. I won today's round with doubt and insecurities. Like, I beat them. They had me on the ropes. But I came back. I hit them with a couple good, nice combinations. And, tomorrow's another round. And I'm going to approach it the same way I approached today. I'm going to wake up. Maybe I take a few punches, right? Fear's got me up against the ropes. That's all right, because I'm going to keep battling back. And you know what? If I get knocked down 7 times, well, you just got to make sure you get up 8, right? So, anyways, thanks for listening. If you made it this far, I just want to say thank you. First and foremost, for listening to the podcast. I would ask and encourage you to make sure you give this podcast a follow if you have not already. I would love to interact with you. So the easiest way to do that, in all honesty, is to download the Podbean app onto your iOS or Android. Look up the Conquering Everest podcast, find the episode that you want to comment on, and you can go ahead and comment, but you got to do it from your mobile device. For some reason, you can't do it on the computer, but download the Podbean app. You can interact with me. I will read and respond to all comments. But hey, if that's not your cup of tea, you could find me on Instagram, name Brian Tellor. You can find me on Twitter, Brian Tellor. You can find me on Facebook as Conquering Everest Podcast. And What else? What else is out there? Oh, YouTube. But, you know, if you listen to this podcast, pretty much YouTube is just, I upload the podcast there too. So, hey, if you want to go and leave me a comment on YouTube, I'd love it. Make sure you thumbs up, you like it, you share it. Just tell everybody you know, hey, there's this guy, Brian. He's got a podcast. Maybe it might do something for you. Yeah, if all I did today was put a smile on your face because I've got so much energy and I'm just, rambling on and, that's cool. I hope at the very least, I put a smile on your face. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere, right? Gonna be another episode before you know it. I'm looking to line up some more interviews because if you haven't heard that interview with Lily and Liz Helton, you gotta go check that out. Episode 11, a great interview. Those two women have been through a lot to get where they are, and so you've got to check that out if you haven't. So, anyways, until next time, aim high, be courageous, and do amazing things.